What is up, you guys? Razor here, and this is my first video on the Horizon channel. What I'll be bringing to the table is Apex content, mainly high kill gameplays, montages, tutorials, anything Apex related. The gameplay I have for you today is 21 kills, almost 5,000 damage, and it's pretty much non-stop action. Pretty much displaying the meta of Apex Legends, that being a G7 and the R99. Previously in Season 0 to Season 2, I would say the Wingman R9 was the meta, but with this new map, it's just pretty much a lot of long-distance fighting, which the devs have changed and put into the meta, and with the G7 buff and longbow buff, the G7 is just way better than the Wingman in overall to have on this map. The Wingman is still an insane weapon, but it's just not as versatile as the G7. You can use the G7 across the map, and you can also use it face to face if you know how to use its hipfire. It's actually a very underrated hipfire weapon. So I recommend giving it a try, practicing it in 1v1s with your friends, and just getting good with the G7 from any range. The weapon is dangerous. If you play in ranked lobbies, that's all you're going to be hearing the entire game is full squads shooting G7s at each other. You thought the charge rifle was a problem? Nah. This G7, maybe even more annoying than the charge rifle. That's right, I said it. More annoying. If you've been using the G7 since like Season 1 or 2, you're probably an absolute monster with the G7 now, since they buffed it and increased the projectile width. Basically what that means is it's like a shotgun. It increases the width of the bullets and makes it easier for you to hit your shots. So now you can pretty much spam your G7 shots if you were already accurate with it. For the short range meta, in buildings like this, the Peacekeeper is definitely the best weapon to have, because you're always face to face with enemies, and the R9 can be an awkward gun to use when you're directly face to face with people. But when you got a Peacekeeper in your hands, you can hit them for easily over 100 per shot, and it just easily makes it the best weapon to have indoors. I would still say the R99 is the best short-range weapon overall in the game, but if you're going to be fighting in awkward, tight spaces like in these buildings, it is really nice to have a Peacekeeper, because as you can see in the gameplay, everyone just has a purple or a gold shield, and they all basically just get demolished because I had the Peacekeeper. I was really fortunate to have this weapon at the time, because after this I switched to the G7R9, my favorite combo and the best combo in my opinion to have in the game. G7 Peacekeeper is also a very monstrous combo for the reasons that I've already stated. It's pretty much a G7R9, except it has more pros of having face-to-face combat, and if you have a precision choke, you can still hit high damage from pretty much a medium range with the Peacekeeper. So if you're really good with that weapon, you could use that as well. I really don't recommend using Peacekeeper R99, as fun as it is to use. In Kings Canyon, that was one of the metas, but with this long range, it can get you really stuck in a bad situation if you don't have the G7 or something with range. The only legend that can really get away with using these short-range weapons is Pathfinder, because you can zip on a team, hit one with the PK, switch to the R9, knock one, zip away, and just repeat the cycle. But if you're using someone like Lifeline, you have no escapability, and if you have only short range, they're basically gonna beam you. Say 3 people have a G7 on the other team, and they're all heading you with the G7. If you have no cover, you're dead. Like, there is no getting out of that. So, highly recommend using a G7 instead of the Peacekeeper or instead of the R9. Having that range will win you more gunfights, especially if you're going for 20 bombs. You're really going to need the long range, because you want to push every fight possible, and you'll get stuck into places in the middle of no cover, no nothing, and yeah, you'll just be pretty much screwed. Like, you won't have what it takes to take out a full squad. Like, having that G7 can get you those few extra kills while you're third partying from a distance, that will get you that 20 bomb. Like, you'll see two people fighting, you'll shoot the one guy once with the G7, get a free knock the other guy with the G7, and you're pretty much in a really good spot for the 20. When you're using R9 Peacekeeper, you can tend to get too aggressive, and you'll get put in situations where you cannot disengage it. Getting that initial knock with long range weapon is so much easier afterwards fighting two people than it is to run in with a PK R9 and try and gun down all three sitting in one building, for example. Because on this new map, you will experience a lot of teams holding height on buildings, and if you're playing solo, trying to push those alone is pretty much a kamikaze move, because you're just stuck in there, and no matter how hard you try to push up, 9 times out of 10 they're going to hold the roof on you and they're all going to spray you down at once. Team fire always wins, unless they just completely miss all their shots, which they won't. Even if they're bots, they won't. 3 people shooting whatever they have at you, probably turbo devos, you're just going to get disintegrated. So playing roof on another building, for example, getting either knocking somebody or breaking a few shields and then zipping over is a lot better of a play to 1v3 a team on this map than it is to just push in. With that being said, fights tend to last a lot longer on this map, so playing ring is super important. Like right here, those guys were holding tower, and they knew I had to go push into the ring. So instead of trying to run through that fight where I would have got destroyed, I zipped around and I went through the tunnel by train yard, because trying to fight that team or trying to even run past that team was a death wish. So I made sure that I had just enough time from the ring to make it around and completely disengage that fight. Because you don't want to get too aggressive even when you're dropping 20 bombs. You don't want to take stupid fights even when you're over halfway there. Say you have 13 kills like I did there. I just completely let that team go. I said, I will find that team later in the game. They're probably a passive group of players, so they're going to be alive for a while. So I just went around and I went and pushed this fight instead. And that ended up getting me around 5 kills instead of trying to fight that one team on a tower for maybe 5 minutes if they're sitting on that tower the entire time. So disengaging fights where people are just holding height and playing weird is a lot smarter than trying to take the fight and wasting all that time fighting 3 people when you could be out third party in a fight getting around 5 or even 6 kills a lot faster. So there you have it. That is why, in my opinion, G7R9 is the Season 3 meta. This game changes rapidly per season, and since we have a map that's pretty much twice the size of Kings Canyon, you can no longer run around with Peacekeeper and R9 and absolutely dominate the lobby. When you get into areas like these, you're gonna pretty much need the long range. So either using G7 or using anvil rounds with a bruiser sight on the flat line, just use some sort of long range along with the short range. Having best of both worlds is how you're going to dominate World's Edge. This final fight gets super intense, and I'm happy that I had these weapons because I was able to hurt them from a range, and pretty much when they all got in my face, I just 99'd them all. And I used the ring to my advantage. Watch my ring positioning near the end of the fight, and you will see why I won this 1v3. I almost choked it. I'm not gonna lie, I almost choked it. I had one super low, and I tried punching him, but my punches just wouldn't register. I should have strafed, should have reloaded with the 9.9, because the reload speed is super quick with that weapon, and I would have got the kill easier. But nonetheless, I'm really happy the way this game turned out. And I promise if you practice using these weapons daily, you will have games like this too. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoy this final fight, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your weekend. I'm out. Peace!